Disney Studios, located in Burbank, California, and that tower is based on a water tower Walt had built in his own studios way back in 1939. We're going to get very close to it here in just a few minutes. Ours, however, rises a lucky 13 stories high in the sky, and it's capped off with that magical set of Mickey Mouse ears. Each one of those ears weighs in at about 2.5 tons. Also off the left-hand side, you'll see our staging and rehearsal area for Lights, Motors, Action. This is where our drivers practice and hone their skills on a variety of vehicles, including those Pontiac GTOs, which were chosen for their legendary performance. It takes high horsepower and split-second maneuverability to perform the stunts that they do in that show. Off the right-hand side, the first of many movie props that we're going to see. This is Tina the animatronic elephant. She's made a double-duty appearance. Well, I guess elephants always do double duty, but she was actually in Operation Dumbo Drop, and she was in George of the Jungle. She doesn't even work for peanuts. She's strictly electricity bound. All right, as we head on down here, we have a production center, not just a theme park. We have outdoor sets, indoor sound stages, editing and recording facilities, basically anything we need to create movies, television, and even radio broadcasts. We've hosted films like Quick Change and Oscar with Sylvester Stallone. We've also hosted television series such as Sheena, Queen of the Jungle, and The Golden Girls. And from 1989 to 1994, we were the home of the Mickey Mouse Club. They gave us the amazing talents of Christina Aguilera, Justin Timberlake, and Ryan Gosling, to name just a few. Off the right-hand side, as we come around this corner, you'll see a couple of P-40 Warhawk aircraft left over from Touchstone Pictures' blockbuster Pearl Harbor, that starred Josh Hart and Ben Affleck. Now they're just fiberglass over steel structure, but they were taken from the mold of a real P-40. They were spun apart, they were blown apart or shot apart during the attack sequence. They built 16 of those. The rest of the ones you see lining the runways are actually built in front of a computer. I'll go ahead and take one last look at our Airful Tower up there. That's the closest you're ever going to get. And now we're going to duck into the most glamorous area of our Backlot tour. This is our creative costuming department. Now it all starts with a designer sketch, and you'll see examples of these along the walls on either side. And then it's up to our talented team of seamstresses and tailors to create a finished garment that will be worn by the performer. You'll see some examples of some costumes from recent movie releases off the left-hand side, such as April, The Shaggy Dog, Blood Plan, Annapolis, and Glory Road. We are the largest working wardrobe in the world. We have over 250 skilled professionals that just mostly happen to have Sunday off. And they work on up to 1.5 million yards of fabric a year, creating upwards of 25,000 costumes, much like the ones you'll see in this final case off your left-hand side, coming up from Pirates of the Caribbean, Dead Man's Chest. Also on the left, a couple of storage areas for radio and television broadcast equipment, and a whole bunch of tires off on our right. And that's because our drivers at Lights, Motors, Action go through a set about every 2 or 3 days. Finally on the left, our scenic shop and the graphic studio that works with our scenic shop. Together they design, build, and maintain sets and props that are going to be used not only on our Backlot, but all around the Walt Disney World property. Now, I've used the word Backlot a few times. Let's explain what that is. Most studios have a Backlot. That's a large open area in behind their sound stages where they can build elaborate outdoor sets so that the production team doesn't have to go on location to a city or a town. When you do that, you can't control things like noise and traffic, crowds, so you'd rather film on a Backlot like ours. Also on the Backlot is what we call a boneyard. That's not just because sometimes we store things that are made out of bones, like the skeleton cage on your left from Pirates of the Caribbean, Dead Man's Chest, but it's because it's where we store the leftover props and perhaps vehicles from previous movie releases or television productions. And we want to hang on to them in case they can be refurbished or used for a later production, such as this yellow steamroller from Who Framed Roger Rabbit. We have a couple of Cadillacs coming up that are actually labeled with their movies. The black and white police car is from Dick Tracy. That starred Madonna and Warren Beatty. The green Geo Metro, that was with Rene Russo and Tim Allen in Big Trouble. A couple of aircraft here, the GB and the Howard Hughes Experimental Aero Gyro, both used in the Rocketeer 1991 with Jennifer Connelly and Billy Campbell. And then we have the Blue Thunder helicopter cockpit from Blue Thunder, the movie. And a couple of motorcycles from Indiana Jones and The Last Crusade. Then we're going to go right here between 2 of those elaborate sets that I was telling you about. The one off the right has made an appearance in many television shows and specials through the years. And the one off the left is where we house Lights, Motors, Action. We produce a short film here 3 times a day, and obviously Herbie the Love Bug up here, well, part of Herbie the Love Bug, this is our split personality Herbie. He has a small role in the film. He's obviously coming apart at the seams with excitement. We'll hopefully be able to find the other half of him in time for tomorrow's first show. We're going to take a quick ride through, because we got a green light, through this set off our right-hand side. They're actually filming here today, doing some testing on some special effects. It's what we consider a hot set, but we're lucky we're going to be able to ride on through, take a look around. I'm going to remind you to stay seated, though, and hang on to those loose articles, because the bridge we go over is kind of bumpy. And again, they may ask us to leave at any moment, so I don't want anyone to lose their feet. As we head inside, this canyon is based on a real canyon located in Southern California. It took the production team about 6 months to create what we're looking at, and that may seem like a long time. But when you think about how long it takes Mother Nature to create the real thing, 6 months really doesn't seem so bad. We've used this set over and over again for production, for the Oprah Winfrey Show, or the O'Donnell Show, Extreme Makeover Home Edition, and also the Hulk Hogan television series Thunder in Paradise from a few years back. Oh, looks like we can stop for a minute, take some pictures without being jostled around too much. I'll tell you some little known facts about our set here. Just over our head is a special platform. That's where they set up their cameras so they can shoot down into the canyon, and that oil tanker was brought in last Thursday, I think it was. But they had to use a large crane to lift it up and over the canyon walls. That's not a real road over there. They were working on a rain effect earlier today, which is kind of ironic with the rain that we had today. I'm wondering if maybe they can turn it on for us. All right, there it is. Okay, now this is Hollywood rain. They use high-pressure water nozzle over our head on a camera range, and they shoot the water up in a crisscross fashion. It only has to go about halfway into the set because the camera only sees in 2 dimensions, so the camera can't tell that rain is not covering the entire set. Oh, you know, we need to get going. All right, sorry about that. This is what I was afraid of. They didn't start their production. Oh my gosh, they've already started the production. Folks, I'm sorry. I need everybody to stay seated and hang on. We're in the middle of the earthquake sequence. We'll get you out of here as soon as we can. Hang on. They want to get set for another take. I personally think one was just enough for me. But now you figured out why we call this Catastrophe Canyon. Everybody, what do you think of that? Julian, we're all set. We're clear whenever you're ready. We're going to take you around the backside. We're going to show you how they created some of these catastrophes before they throw something else at us. All right, thank you for rushing through. Check out how that helical bowl and oil tanker have already reset themselves for the next action sequence. We're going to come around the backside and see that Catastrophe Canyon is really nothing more than just a giant steel structure that's been covered over with wire mesh. Now the wire mesh is covered with colored concrete, and then it's hand-carved to look like the natural rock formations you see. The yellow pipes are the ones that transport the fuel for the fire and explosion, and then we have these large gray pipes that carry the water for the flash flood. Now the flood began when we opened up the gates of 3 large holding tanks, which are located way at the top of Catastrophe Canyon, sending over 70,000 gallons of water thundering down the walls towards our poor little shuttle. And we added a little more action at the scene with some water cannons that are actually strong enough to propel a basketball over the Empire State Building if we tried. The earthquake was caused by hydraulic shaker panels located underneath the bridge that we were on. It was about a 5.1 on the Richter scale, and that could cause a small car like Herbie to flip over the sides down into the ravine below. Now you can see pumps 1, 2, and 3. They're all actually pumps 2 and 3. Pump 1 is being replaced right now. But those 2 and 3 pumps are actually visibly recycling all that water and sending it over to the drinking pump located at the Magic Kingdom. No, I'm just kidding. It goes right back up to the top, and we use it for the next scene. Now, it only takes about 3.5 minutes to recycle it all and set it up for our next scene, and that's basically what we're waiting for right now. Catastrophe Canyon was put together with the help of a Hollywood special effects team. And, even though it seemed like it was an out-of-control disaster, it's really a carefully controlled computerized event. The whole thing takes about 3.5 minutes to set up. But they use the same technology here to create the facade as they did over, say, at the Animal Kingdom, the giant tree of life, where there's over 174 animals. That was constructed the exact same way. Giant steel structure, covered over with wire mesh, then covered with the concrete, carved and hand painted. Also Expedition Everest. We use that technology quite a bit on all of our attractions. And we're all set. Remember, you're all clear. Great. As we come up to the end here, we're going to make a giant left-hand turn. I'm going to draw your attention over to the right-hand side of the shuttle. What's on the right-hand side is not a prop, nor is it a scenic item from any movie or television show. This is Walt Disney's actual aircraft. This is known as the 234 Mickey Mouse. It is it's a Gulfstream G1. And this turboprop was put into service in the early 1960s when Walt was trying to shuttle back and forth with his Imagineers between New York City and California. He was putting the final touches on the attractions they added to the 1964 World's Fair. Attractions you've probably heard about, such as It's a Small World and the Carousel of Progress. Yes, you can still see these attractions over at the Magic Museum today. One of the final missions of the aircraft was to take Walt on his scouting missions all around Central Florida while he was looking for the right location with the right amount of land that they could store all the ideas that they could ever possibly imagine. He wanted a space where he could build everything that he could think of, and they found it right here in the Orlando area. Off the right-hand side, you'll see the stage and scene for Lights, Motors, Action. A good portion of you folks may have already seen that today. If you haven't, they have completed their shows for the day, but there will be 3 more tomorrow and 3 more the day after that. We highly recommend this attraction. You'll feel like you're part of the action as our stunt team takes you down on the set, stages some elaborate automobile and vehicular action sequences using cars, trucks, motorcycles, even watercraft, and then they put it together with some carefully timed pyrotechnics, add in some special effects, and the post-production sequence, all to give you a short film to watch. If you've ever wondered how they create those scenes, this is definitely the show to see. We're going to show you a little bit behind the scenes here as we make this giant turn around what we call Acceleration Alley. The vehicles are about half the weight of a normal vehicle, about 3 times as powerful, and they have just this short distance of Acceleration Alley to get up to about 55 miles per hour before they go on stage. The delivery trucks are part of the elaborate range system, and then the fruit and vegetable stand is actually part of a large airbag system that the vehicles land in as they come off the ramp. Altogether a great show. We hope you had a chance to see it and enjoyed it. If not, we hope you come back and see us later in the week. It will be dark Thursday through Saturday, so you want to make sure if you want to see that show, you've got 3 more days, Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, before you leave us. Coming up off the left-hand side, the second of our 2 barnyards. The crypt is from the Haunted Mansion. The miniature Humvee and cattle car is from Mighty Joe Young. The Acme Waste Disposal Truck, that's Horace and Jasper's from 101 Dalmatians with Glenn Close. The pod-shaped spacecraft is Max from The Flight of the Navigator that starred the voice of Pee Wee Herman, who was actually the voice of Max, otherwise known as Paul Rubens. We have the Sands-Gibbon Snowspeeder from the first trilogy of Star Wars films, and then the yellow helicopter and submarine from The Life Aquatic with Steve Zissou. Number 53 is Herbie the Love Bug. That's Demolition Derby version of Herbie from Herbie Fully Loaded. That was released last year with Michael Keaton and Lindsay Lohan. And then we have the red escape pod. That's the presidential escape pod from Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. Now we are still circling around the backside of Lights, Motors, Action. It's a giant that takes over 8 acres. And you can see that these buildings are the same as Catastrophe Canyon. They're just facades. They have a false front on them. They are built to withstand 100-mile-per-hour winds that we get in Florida sometimes, but then our set dressers go to work and make the building look like it's an entirely complete building, but only from one angle. And the reason we do that is because it makes sense to save time and money in the movie business and in the theme park business whenever possible. So we'll only build the portions of a set that will be seen by the visitor or by the viewer. Fortunately, as part of the Backlot tour, you get to see our tricks of the trade. Now we are entering the downtown section of our Backlot tour, where we have visits of New York City and San Francisco, and hopefully before too long we're going to be adding Chicago. You'll be able to stand in all 3 cities at once, and we call it our Tri-City area. Now, if you look down the end of the road there, it's going to swing around in a moment so everyone will get a good look at it. You'll see what appears to be the over 100-story tall Empire State Building. But in truth, it's really just a painted flat. Uses an old movie trick called forced perspective, and it's only about 4 stories tall. But to the naked eye, to your camera, you sit yourself up there, you're going to look like you are in New York City instead of Orlando. Fool your friends. Have a great time. All right, we are nearing the end of our motorized portion of your tour, but there is a little bit more for you all to see, and you'll find it in the large beige and blue building that's off the right-hand side here. It's known as the American Film Institute Showcase, and it houses our exhibit called Villains, those movie characters you love to hate. It has costumes and prop and set pieces from some of the silver screen's baddest bad guys on the movies that made them infamous. The Wicked Witch's hat, the costume of Darth Vader. You'll also see some pieces of